meeting for the Addison Township Park and Recreation Committee this evening. Time is 7:40. We're running a few minutes late, but thank you for your patience. With that, has everyone received a copy of the agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay,
make a motion to approve the agenda.
very good.
I'll second that.
Thank you. With the agenda approved, Charlie, would you care to review the minutes from our last meeting?
Okay. These are the draft minutes from our November 9th meeting. The meeting started at 7:35 p.m. Approval of agenda, all voted yes to approve. Approval of our October 5th meeting minutes, all voted yes to approve. Old business. Move garage to watershed east to store tractor. We are ready. Light pole installation. Rod says he has to choose between two poles. Locate and move 2 native type bushes within the park and plant along the porch at Arnold School. We will plant lilac bushes soon or in the spring. Cement floor at Lake George Nature Park barn. It is done and looks great. Next, we need a new front overhead door. Grade where former house was located and apply topsoil. We will use our tractor to grade and apply topsoil in the spring. New business. Improve Lake George Nature Park trails. We will use our tractor to improve the trail to the lake. Chuck said the trail to the rear of the park has a lot of fallen, medium-sized trees which he and the WAM workers couldn't move. We need chainsaws. Schedule a ranger workday. Saturday, December 5th. Letter will be sent. Meet at Lake George Nature Park and continue to work on trails. Pitch pump well for washing hands and cleaning for watershed preserve. Rod said one by our new vaulted restroom would be good. Add to new business for December meeting agenda. New overhead door for barn. Lake George Nature Park signs similar to the green watershed preserve signs. Public forum. Ranger Carol Benz said we could use better trash bags and where to store toilet paper. Rod said perhaps locking metal cabinets in our restrooms with our rangers having keys. Chuck said he and the sister cleaned up the watershed preserve east parking lot from a fallen dead tree. He will repair the crushed wood fence. Dave Kostick said people are accessing Lake George from Haven Road and it has to stop. Everyone agreed. Perhaps no parking signs could be installed. We will ask our officials for advice. Meeting ended 8:40 p.m. All voted yes to end meeting.
Excellent.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. Okay.
Yep.
All right. With that, thank you, Charlie. With that, the next item on the list is for our welcomed supervisor and the supervisor's report, if we could please.
Well, the only thing I have to add is, yeah, we did pour the cement in the Trass property or the Lake George barn, and it does look really great. And I think we have plans that we're going to insulate that, and then we're going to put some kind of board on the inside, and we'll get some heat in there, and that'll be a staging ground for people with disabilities to get ready and go out into the field there. We still do have the grant, $15,000 that we got from Enbridge to put the the handicap dock in, the with the rollers, and I'd like to make sure that we get the proper grade to get down to the lake, and once we get that, then we'll purchase the dock and get it in there so that people can use that, but we've got to be able to get wheelchairs from the parking lot down to that location. So that's something that we'll have to work on. And we do have Tom, who lives in our township, and that's his type of work. He's done all of the parks in Oakland Township, so I think he said he'd come over and help us figure out the grade and how to get the dock set up for use. I have Josh Shaner with me, and he came into my office last week, and he would like to, he's working on his Eagle Scout badge, and so he would like to know if there's something that we could think of that he could do in our parks. And I had a whole host of ideas, and they're very extensive, but I was hoping that maybe the committee would have something that you have on your agenda. I don't know if Josh, this is Josh Shaner and his father Greg, and they live off of DeQuinder. And Josh, we had a couple ideas. You know, I talked about one thing with a sledding hill in the back. And it's a big project. I don't expect Josh to do that, but design it. Because I have the volunteers already and the bulldozers to do that. And then, as you know, I think I've come up with a donation to put a big outdoor fireplace on top of the hill overlooking the sledding hill now, with a gas fireplace like you see out in the ski areas out west. That was another thing, and then we came up with another one, was bat houses, right? And there were some bat houses that we were looking at, which would be excellent, especially down in that area, or even off of the one off of Lake George. That would be another nice. I don't know too much about bat houses, so. But if the committee has any idea, I know that we've done how many other projects. We've done the parking lot over there on Haven Road. The Eagle Scouts helped me with that one, and they designed it, and then we did the gravel and everything, and then we had the bird houses.
The wood duck houses, and then there were some bat houses earlier on Watershed, right at the start when we started with that. Okay. There were a few other projects as well too, but those are the large ones that really come to mind.
I think you covered most of them, yes.
Okay. Well, if you have any ideas, he would like to get started on it this spring, right? Sometime this spring. When does it have to be finished? By the time you graduate college, or what? So if we can think of something, you know, those are my ideas, but anyways, I wanted to introduce Josh to you.
How about labeling the trail idea, doing part of it?
That's all open for support. That's probably another very good and worthy effort. There are quite a few of those, maybe not all of them, but even a selected trail or two would be a good one because of the amount of work it takes to sink the poles and put some of that in. So is that something you're looking for an answer this evening on, or is it something we can get back with you in the next week or two after we've
What's
had
he
a chance?
interested in?
There you go, Josh. Would you like to speak?
I was going to suggest perhaps after the meeting getting his telephone number and staying in contact with him over the next couple of weeks and perhaps come up with 2 or 3 different things that we might want him to do and have him choose which one he wants to do.
That sounds good, and then that way, you know, we can all have the benefit of your efforts working into your Eagle Scout, which is admirable. That's wonderful.
Do you have anything that you'd like to suggest or anything? Just you're open to anything, okay?
Be careful there.
How strong are you?
Well, Josh attends, Oxford High School, and he's in the 9th grade.
Oh, awesome.
And Cody, my son, and he have been friends ever since elementary school, so they keep in contact constantly. But anyways, if you guys have any ideas, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, if we may, then we'll get your number from you before the end of the event, and we'll follow up with some offered ideas, take your input, and then we can go from there as a group and see what fits best and move forward if that's all
And
right.
I just have two other things. The interior of the schoolhouse now is being completed. The ceiling's in, the walls are partially done, and then we'll be onto the floor. And then the heating units are in there now, so the place is warm. So we will have that opened up, and we're gonna have to move all the museum historical stuff into that building. Probably in the next few weeks, we'll do that. And I wanted to announce that this is the last meeting you'll have here, okay? Our other room is open.
Oh,
I
very
just
good.
wanted to get the sidewalks in before I open it up to everybody. So that will be done, they say, in the next week, so.
Excellent.
So you can put on your agenda from now on that it'll be over at the other building. Other than that, that's all I have to say, okay?
All right.
One last thing, too.
Sure.
We'll look over, we've got a big, long list of ideas,
Yeah,
of projects for, left over from last year, and ones we,
Yeah.
and a new list that we have started for this year, and we'll look over that list, and we'll come up with a whole bunch of different ones for you.
And we-
You'll be doing this till you're 50 years old.
Or more. What time does Social Security? All right. Well, thank you very much for the update there, Mr. Supervisor. And it's...
Oh, there was one other thing too.
Okay.
You know, as far as moving the white garage over there, we're gonna have to really think about that because I've been looking at just pole barn packages.
Yeah, Yeah.
I know that when I talked to the mover, he said it would be about $3,000 to move that garage.
yeah,
And we can almost get a
Real
full
nice little building.
package.
yeah.
And I have somebody that might be able to help us on erecting a pole barn. And if we get enough volunteers out there, we may be able to get that put up in a week or two, and we'd have a nice new building behind the
Yeah.
schoolhouse. So we might want to think about that before we move that up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking at the condition of the old building as opposed to just trying to do something new, by the time you tear one down and relocate it, I've seen some very good packages on those
Right.
small buildings like you've mentioned. And we can get together in the next couple of weeks and chat that one
Yeah.
through and see where we're at with it. We can even take a look at that other building as well.
There, Josh can help us
Oh.
with that one.
That'd be a good Eagle Scout project.
That'd be another nice one. He
Yeah.
can plan that all out and show us where to put that. And
Now, we've got him occupied till 2019 at this point, so, very good. Anything else?
no, that's it.
No? All right. Well, again, thank you, gentlemen, both very much for your offer. We will be taking, hopefully, welcome advantage of your offer, so thank you. We'll be back in touch and follow back with that. Okay? Next on the agenda is approval of bills. Have we any invoices, bills that need to be put through?
I don't have anything.
No? Dave, any, no? Rangers, any expenses? No? All right, we'll move on. We'll go into old business then. We had on the old business talk about relocating the garage to watershed, and with the information that we have, we will follow up on that and reconsider how we want to approach that. We can address that and make our recommendation to the next meeting. Is that all right with the board?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we review it.
There you go. Thank you. And we'll make our recommendation from there. The light pole installation. There's been a new update on that. And we had been looking for about 6 months trying to find some poles, the light poles for the Arnold School parking lot and vicinity. We have just been donated through the relations and benefits of our supervisor, who has found 2 brand new poles and light fixtures. They are beautiful poles and fixtures. They're similar to what is being used in the old update of Auburn Hills downtown area. brand new poles and light fixtures. The light fixtures, I just moved over to the basement of the schoolhouse. The poles are at my place. What we'll end up doing is planning a new project in the spring to sink some sonic poles, drop some cement, and prepare for the base installation of those devices. That's something that we can do when the weather breaks, of course.
Maybe one at each place?
Probably not. It'll probably be both over at Arnold School, and we'll decide where appropriate over the course of the next couple of months. So by the time spring comes, we can verify what will give us the best lighting for the parking lot areas and areas of concern. So again, Supervisor Bruce, thank you very much for all of that.
You gotta thank my Sherry. She overheard somebody who, my deputy supervisor, and she overheard somebody talking about light poles, and she honed right in on that. And got us to donate in there about $2,000.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely stop by and thank her specifically for that. And they are beautiful pools. They are and reminiscent of some of like the 1920s and 30s early on, very aesthetically clean and very appropriate for the application. So again, to the Addison Township team, thank you guys very much for that.
And that's something that we need to do.
Yes, absolutely. That will be a spring project for us. And in addition to that, the electrician that dropped those off, I believe it was Tim, had noted that they're multi-tapped, so we can run several different voltages out there, whichever is appropriate, and we'll be in good shape for them. So again, that's a great benefit. Thank you. Next on the old business, Charlie, you had on here grade where former house was located and apply topsoil. That looks like that'll be another spring, summer type project. Anything you want to add to that, or Dave?
No, other than I had expressed concerns about, I think what we may think is either the well. We're going to want to cover that as well, so if someone doesn't fall on it or drive on it.
Yeah, we need to at least cap it.
Cap it,
Put a
cover it.
permanent cap on it.
Right.
I think it's, I personally think it had a windmill on it. It was an old water well.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we need to seal it.
We can talk to the township and get the inspector to have a look at that for us perhaps too, and get some input on the best way to approach that. So
Yeah.
we're not just running into something. And
Yeah, I totally agree. We need someone to tell us what to put in there.
So we'll put a note on here, inspector.
Ask inspector,
Yeah. And then from there, we'll have an update, hopefully for our next meeting then. We were looking at a work day for Saturday, December the 5th, to improve Lake George Nature Trail.
Want me to explain what happened?
Sure, sure.
Okay. That was Saturday, December 5th, and our goal was to go out there and mostly clean up the trail going to the very rear of the park, which is a very long trail. And it was a trail that was laid out by the 6 rivers before we got the park. And the WAM workers and I had earlier went there trying to clean it up and clear it, but there was only so much we could do. We needed to go back with chainsaws and cut some of these big heavy trees that had fallen over the trail, and there were a lot of them. And so and that's what we did December 5th, is Lou Byrne, Tom Posadlik, Dave Kostick, and I, we cleared the trail going all the way to the rear of the park. And how long would you say that trail probably is, Dave?
If I were to put it into yards, I would say a good 300 yards.
Yeah, it's pretty long trail, but it needed to be done. And so we kind of removed all the fallen trees, and there were a lot of those ash trees.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we mostly moved. And so the trail's clear. And the ranger work day that we had in October, we worked on the trail going down to the lake for the handicap dock. And we need to have our leaders look at that trail and see what else we need to do to improve it.
Very good. We were talking about some pitch pumps near the washrooms. The pitch pumps would be just simple means of being able to wash your hands. We'll still talk a little bit further about that. We've got till spring to do something with that. A light pitch pump, we should be able to probably pound down a well point good enough to draw water, because we're probably only about 8 or 10 feet above water level there, so a simple pitch pump should work fine. The washrooms that are presently provided are containment vault style, so we need not worry about any water contamination coming off of those types of washrooms. But what we'll also do is once we move forward and know where we're at, if we have that, we'll also put on there not potable water, so they know it's only for washing hands or feeding, washing and using around the areas needed. So we're looking at that as another project for the early spring, perhaps another consideration as an Eagle Scout. So, told you, I told you. So from that point, that's all of the old business. Let's move on to new business.
Okay. One last thing, though.
Sure.
We did get a report from the well man about the pitch pump wells, and I relayed information to Supervisor Bruce, and so Supervisor Bruce was going to talk to the well man about
Good.
moving forward with that.
Okay.
And we were thinking of getting 2 of them, one perhaps by the lavatory at Watershed East, and another one Watershed West by the Ranger cabin. That way both sides have water for washing your hands and whatever we need it for.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else on old business?
No.
No? Okay. We'll go to new business. Pardon me. First on the order for new business is a new overhead door for the barn. Presently, the overhead door has a gap on it with the new floor set. Doesn't match down. It's a fiberglass door. It's, shall we say, of a light duty makeup. And with it not meeting the ground properly anymore, I think it would be wise if we look at a new replacement door for that. And we had also chatted a little bit about a couple of other pieces to that. If we do the front, currently the back one is a slider door. We can change that so that we can put an overhead door on that as well to eliminate perhaps rodents from being able to sneak in around the building and underneath some of those sliders. As we've seen. So we'd like to entertain for new business into the new year coming, replacement of the overhead doors, and also to facilitate and accommodate the use of that building, an improved approach. What we have right now is just sand, and we'll look at doing a little bit better for accommodations to that building with some of the use that we're planning for that properties in regards to availability and handicap access. So between the doors and the approaches, we're going to package that as a project for 2016. Any other information on that, Charlie or Dave? Any thoughts that you want to share in regards to that?
I think that we may have talked about painting it as well.
Yes, we'd like to paint it this summer.
Okay.
And we did talk about that we were going to downsize the doors. Instead of having those big 16-foot doors, all we need is a 10-foot door and get it insulated. And I did talk to my brother-in-law who runs Oxford Overhead Door, and I'm sure that he would love to come and volunteer his time.
Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll get a project going on that. when the weather starts breaking a bit, to look at the approaches. It shouldn't take a whole lot to finish those out. And again, the folks that done the cement work for us done a tremendous job on that. We'd like to thank them again. And if we can wrap those approaches with the doors, we'd have a very nice facility there to continue working forward. Next order on the agenda is Lake George nature signs, similar to the watershed preserve. Charlie, did we vote on moving forward with getting those signs?
Well, we didn't actually, I don't think we actually voted on them, but,
Okay.
but I did give them to Assistant Supervisor Sherry to give to Supervisor Bruce and to look over and review. And we talked a little bit about maybe making the Lake George ones, the letters in white instead of black, to be a little bit different
Yep.
than Watershed
Yep,
Preserve.
stand out.
And I gave him one of our Watershed Preserve signs for a model, so he has an idea what size we want. It's got the park logo on it.
Excellent.
The only thing I need is metal, you know, but where to get that, I do not know. I don't know where we got the metal. I can get the signs made, the vinyl over the metal, but I don't know where we got the aluminum blanks.
We ended up getting those from that shop over on M24 that done a lot of the, what's the road there? You know, sporting goods where they would do a lot of the work for the high school?
Yes, yeah.
What's the name of that print shop on the west side of 24 there, Charlie? Can you recall it? It's right by the Coney Island, that
Well, it's
Italian
across
garden.
the street from the Nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of it, but the signs might have come from there, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure that's where they came from.
Okay.
But Bruce, we can follow up on that.
Well, you just tell me where the metal is, I mean, just the blank
They
metal.
provide
He
them.
just wants sheet aluminum.
Yeah, they provided them.
Oh, they provide them.
Yeah.
Well, let me know when you get a chance.
Absolutely. We'll make a note to follow up with you in regards to that, Bruce. All right. We were looking at, Charlie, we have on here, gather short information articles written by our park rangers and committee members for a flyer to a newsletter.
Well, all I was thinking of is this is winter time, and sometimes, and this is something that we can take our time doing, there's no hurry to do it. And over the winter months, perhaps, maybe the rangers as well as the committee members could think about perhaps writing a short, maybe one paragraph, maybe two paragraph short article on many different subjects that have to do with outdoors, the park, why it's important to go to spend time outdoors, what you might see when you go to a watershed preserve park, things you can do in your backyard to be more environmentally friendly, ways of dealing with bugs and pests. And I thought perhaps maybe the next couple of months we could perhaps get everybody to write, again, short little articles on helpful things that people might want to read and might appreciate. And
I think that's a good idea. One of the things that we could end up doing too is not only the members, but even the park rangers, with all the experiences that we encounter coming and going through the different parks, if our attendees would be interested in providing something like that, even perhaps by our next meeting, we could accumulate those and try to generate a small letter if we could get participation.
well, yeah, and I was even thinking, you know, we could have this, you know, we could take 2, 3, 4 months doing this.
Sure.
And
sure.
and maybe we can wind up with something that we can put with our park maps in the park box, like a little flyer, and helpful suggestions, you know, birds or animals you might see at the park, different kind, you know, some, you know, article about different kinds of trees and plants.
And you probably need a retired school teacher to go over and be the editor, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
No spell check needed here.
Well, then let's do this. Let's put some dates on this and see if we might be able to get a few volunteered articles to come in perhaps by next meeting, and then plan something that maybe by April, we could draft a letter. Do you think that might be appropriate?
Well, yeah, I think that would be good. And again, perhaps, I thought that if we weren't in a hurry to do this, and if it was 3 or 4 months,
Okay.
that eventually we would get all our rangers to participate. And another thing I thought of, for the rangers that don't come to as many meetings as some of our other rangers do, in our next Ranger Workday letter or something like that, also make mention that perhaps they might be interested in sharing some information, writing a short article on, things that they like, enjoy at the park, or things that that are good for the environment. And
Well, every single one of us is passionate about something within that park. So focus on what you're passionate about, and there's no question that I think that everyone will come up with something nice.
yeah,
So what we'll do is we'll plan on trying to pull everything together by April.
That'd be
and
fine,
See
yeah.
what we can deliver on a short newsletter. That work all right?
I think that would be good.
And if you get it done, I think the tax bills go out the 1st of July. We can put it in, I usually do a township newsletter. At that time, we can put it in so that everybody gets it.
Excellent. We'll take you up on that, Bruce. So we'll try to get a rough draft by April and a final by July to go out with the tax bills then.
I think they go out 1st of July, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
The goal of
good.
this meeting was just to see what everybody thought about that. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a good thing to do. We used to do
Definitely
newsletters,
is.
yeah. Yeah.
It's very nice to see, and it really brings the attention to the forefront when we address it to the citizens of the township. So let them know what a little gem they have here and the opportunities to enjoy it. With that, were there any additions you wanted to put to that, Dave?
Sound good?
Okay, Carol?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Then at that point, we've come to the end of our agenda. The next item on the agenda would be public forum. So, Mrs. Arelli?
We talked about the potential of having a well an old well that's at the Lake George Park. Are we sure that that's a well, or?
Not positive, no.
Is that something that maybe the wellman could look at, and if it is it something we could put a pitch pump on and use it as a hand washing area for washing fish parts off after you?
There's, the well that was over there was a powered well, and that was a deep well. A pitch pump will only generally draw from about 15 feet, maybe 19 feet of rise. That would require a secondary chamber type pump, and those again are deep wells. But we could probably have the well people look at it and tell us what we have there, if it's still useful or not. I don't know if that was into the basement or where that's at. I'd have to look at it again.
I can tell you this, there's water in there. We took a rock, we gave it a 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 count until we heard the splash. Wherever it is, it's deep, but there is water in there. Because, again, we heard the rock tumble down the pipe, and then it made a splash sound after about 1,000. So a good 4 or 5 seconds, so it's deep.
As for water, there still is the well from the house.
Yeah.
Right. Where's that?
And we still have the pump and everything too.
Right.
We have
Where's
everything.
that physically located? I'm just curious.
The wellhead?
Yeah.
It was in the front of the house.
Yeah, on the front
Okay.
lawn, you're right,
Okay.
Supervisor Bruce, yeah.
In order to do something like that, we'd probably have to set a submerged motor
Yes.
and then run all of that stuff over to the house. That's no small amount of work at this point. I think that's something that we could look towards the future, but I don't think that's anything that we could just jump in and do. But it's not going to go bad, I don't believe, just sitting there, so it's something that we can look at in the future, I believe. So, with that,
Well, if we do get a dock, we could have in the summertime, it's not gonna freeze, a little big water jugs, so people can rinse their hands off.
Oh, sure.
If we do get the dock, and then people do want to rinse their hands off.
Yeah, yeah.
Use a lake.
Or handy wipes.
Can't you use a lake?
Well,
Very
once we get past the watershed preserve pitch pump wells there, we'll have a better idea what's
Yeah.
going on too.
Yeah.
We can apply that towards Lake
But
George.
see, that one's higher, and the lake is down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where, again, with the elevation of the buildings at Lake George, it would require a submersible well. And that's a lot more work than we want to get into. We'll try the simple one first, and then that'll be our backup plan over there, I think, once we go a little further. But good point, and we'll keep it in mind. Any other public forum, anything that anyone would like to add?
Regarding the articles, I think if you just throw it out there or have people write their own articles, they might all end up being duplicate or some redundant, or maybe one person should make an outline and then like a pop-up, they sign up for, like, talk about the beavers or the squirrel or the white pine, or activities that they like to do.
Sure,
I don't
sure.
know how to make that so you're not just a whole
Well-
bunch of random articles.
School teacher would know how to do that.
I wasn't the English teacher.
Well, bringing it up and putting it on the agenda for this meeting was just to see, see what everybody thought about that. And it seems to be everybody thinks it's okay, it's a good idea. And perhaps what we could do is we can compile a list of, like, perhaps next meeting, if you show up at the next meeting or you call us up and tell us, say, I think I'm going to write an article on such and such, and we'll keep a list of who's writing an article on certain things. So if someone else says, I'm going to write an article on the same thing, we'll say, well, Michelle's already writing an article on that, write something a little bit different.
And I think too, between some of the parks that we have, from Lavoti Park here to Lake George to Watershed West, Watershed East, I think we've got enough diversity in there that hopefully we can overcome some of potential for redundancy at that point. And if we do, then we'll meld them together perhaps. But,
Yeah, I don't think we're going to overlap too much in any of that. There's a real lot you could write about, about topography and what's, frogs and bats and just all kinds of
your
stuff.
equestrian adventures, or any of the things that you ladies do when you take your horses out there, what you encounter, what you like, what you
Dogs off
Scan
leash.
identification.
yeah.
That's always interesting.
So, good. All right, well, we'll add that as well. Any other offers of support or information from the public forum? No? All right. Well, at that, then we're going to call it a meeting. May I have the time, please?
It's 8:20.
All right, at 8:20, we're going to call the meeting to an end. And we'd like to thank all of the members present for attending. Thank you very much. And Eagle Scoutmaster, we're going to find some work for you, buddy. Thank you for the offer. That was very nice.